Sometimes I'm really good at making my life difficult. I've already got the nut off, but if you look how cattywampus that bushing is, that wouldn't be a roadblock episode and project if we just didn't keep running into dumb problems, right? Hello and welcome to the shop. I'm Jared and this is the Questionable Garage and this is Project Roadblock, our Dodge Charger with a Hellcat manual transmission swapped into it, and it's been converted into a pickup truck, a ute as the Australians call them, and well, that's the appropriate name, the utility vehicle. And I made a mistake. I kind of said I was done with it, and after tuning in the last episode, we wanted to end the year with a bang. And by a bang, I meant a really nice big smoky burnout, but had 2 attempts that didn't turn out as well. So I figured, let's bring it back to the shop. I can turn all the cop car lights on, set up a bunch of angles, and have a really great long Nitto roasting burnout. That's not what happened. So yeah, we snapped that axle clean into. It's quite impressive, if I do say so myself. If you're gonna do it all the way. But you know what, it's okay. The limited slip in the rear differential, it wasn't limiting as well. Sometimes you could get one tire spinning. So we've got to do some maintenance. You know, when you have a high horsepower car and you treat it as gentle as we do, you know, old Roadblock here, things are due. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna get the broken axle yanked out of this thing, we're gonna get the differential pulled out, bring it inside, take some measurements, and get some parts ordered, and then, hopefully, we can get back to doing some burnouts. Are you guys tired of seeing advertisements being pushed to you by your favorite creator for products that just don't work? Well, I don't do that. That's why we're talking about today's sponsor, Brunt Workwear. Guys, they're on the channel a lot. That's because it's a good quality product. I love it. I don't work with companies I don't like. And it's pretty obvious to see I'm pretty much always in Brunt work pants and boots. I can't hide the fact that I actually use that product. Now, you regularly are gonna see me in the Marins. That was the first boot offered in size 16, and that's what I've been wearing a whole lot of. This pair has got the Brunt composite toe. It's designed to keep your boot from wearing out at the front. If you're in a trade where you're kicking, dragging your feet up and down a whole lot, it's gonna keep your boots lasting even longer with options that are fully waterproof and most all being water resistant and barnyard proof leather. You are gonna find the boot that's gonna fit whatever you do. They're slip, oil, and heat resistant up to 572 degrees Fahrenheit, and they are EH rated. Now you may ask yourself, where do the name of Brunt boots come from? They are named after the tradesmen that tested them in their field and gave them their seal of approval. Built by tradespeople for tradespeople. They are ruggedly tested by people like you and me. My friend Scotty needed some new boots. He bought the Sullivans and he absolutely loves them. And that's something you're guaranteed to do. With Brunt, you've got the try it guarantee. You can get them, wear them to work, and if you don't love them, reach back out, they're gonna take care of you. That's the best part. They're not trying to stick you with something if it's not gonna fit for you. Now you hear me talk about the work pants a whole lot. They've got a current special going on that if you are quick to take advantage of it, you're able to get a combo pack, fresh new pair of boots, and a fresh pair of work pants. So now if you guys are ready to get my favorite boots and save a little bit of money and make your feet a whole lot more comfortable, and you're gonna get to save $10 off your first purchase of $60 or more, head on over to bruntworkwear.com/questionable10. That's bruntworkwear.com/questionable10. You get $10 off your first order of $60 or more, and you're gonna be getting the best boots, in my personal opinion, that you can for the money. Also, while you're there, again, check out the pants, the hoodies, the work. They've got everything you need to be comfortable and do your job. Well, all right, we are underneath, getting ready to pull everything, get the exhausts off. I did knock our axle nuts off,
and how's that? The joint held up, but we snapped the shaft itself completely clean. Kind of impressed. But I'm taking this opportunity. I could just sling an axle on it. We're going to drop the diff. The limited slip has been acting up, so we'll get into that. And try not to get too disgusting and gross, because nothing is worse than when the axle grease is everywhere. Also, it's going to be time-lapse. I've asked my neighbors to turn their music down, and they're not. So to avoid potential copyright, we're time-lapsing. And then I get to talk to the landlord again, because I've asked twice. It's not that hard to coexist. Maybe I should just buy them all Raycons. That's a lot of glitter. How is it trying to overflow and not just run into the drain? But look at that sparkle. We're counteracting the really loud music with some royalty free. Let's try some Message in the Fog. See where that goes. I mean, we can go really loud if we want. I have more audio system than they do down the hill. So we got the glitter river coming out of this diff. That's not a good sign, but let's open it up and see. I'm expecting it to mostly be out of our clutches for the limited slip. Also, that song just got really loud. No, wrong button. There we go. Just enough to be ambient noise, please. Roadblock for a little while had been having a problem, especially like at Lanier, where one wheel wasn't quite loaded up as much as the other, would go into a one tire fire. It would overpower the limited slip, and we would start to get, you know, a one tire fire. And on, just off the ground even, we were able to, sometimes by hand, get that rear end to turn unevenly. So I had been planning to try to figure out a rebuild on this. Now, if you have a get rag rear diff in your Dodge, this is the ZF. You can tell because it says ZF on it. Also this more batwing style. The get rag, you can get, I believe it's the C6 Z06 rebuild kit. You end up with more clutches, and it's $150. They're out of stock a lot, but you know, they're out there. For the ZF,
I'm still doing some digging. The people who have figured it out aren't sharing their information, which I don't blame them. You go through a lot of work to identify parts. You want to maximize your investment. So I'm not really faulting for that information, not necessarily to be completely out there in the public. I do know these bad boys are, well, I won't say no. I am 99%. These are 9 1/4 diffs. Whew. Oh, there it is. Oh, I hate bad gear oil. Oh. So I know the Rams have a 9 1/4 ZF, and I'm wondering if those don't happen to be the same parts. I may end up ordering some to test. Seal goes in. We don't have any retainer or thing here on this side. Okay, that's a snap ring. Okay. Also, way more glitter river in there. Holy moly me. Like, who could have put it together? If you drive like a total buffoon, you'd break a part or 2 or 3. Alright, am I gonna have to pull that snap ring, or can we just pop this bad boy out? The seal fell out. I will say I appreciated how easily the stubs came out. That was a welcome thing. Oh, okay. For this to have been a quiet rear end, I mean, that is so much just metal. Holy crud. I mean, it's an impressive amount. Oh, look, I made latte art. So next up, we got to drop off this ring gear, and then we'll split this case open, because that's where I think the source of our metal is. It's like the limited slip side is already separating unless the ring gear is that shape. I need to have more of my metal tables cleared for stuff like this. No, it is trying to separate. Huh. Let me get a little harder whacker. Dirty as heck, but let's see. Oh no, we're starting to see a little bit of a wear pattern into that. It's not awful. All things considered, what's happening to this car at any given moment, it's not awful. What is concerning is what this is trying to do. Normally you flip these over and there's a couple screws and ta-da. I can't say that I love what this is trying to do. How it's loose there, not coming apart there. I'm not rebuilding this anymore. We're just getting a full new carrier. That's a little bit close. Oh God. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Well, we definitely found the source of all our metal. So these are our thrust surfaces. And as you can tell in this cast part, there's a substantial groove cut into there. That lip, none of that should be there. That should not have a bunch of cast metal on it. Somehow, it's just covered. It's covered in metal. The cone washer is still kind of a cone. So this is like a spring, preloads things just a little bit. We got some metal paste going on, my friends. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Look. That little flap, that shouldn't be like that. Spider gear, surprisingly okay. I mean, they're very dirty, but they're not blowing apart. Those are our pins. Again, that cone, okay-ish. That side brush surface, marginally better, you see down there. You know, surprisingly, there's definitely more material than I expected, by far. So these wore, you can see they've been spinning. We lost pressure. That got really hot at one point. But a lot of this wear material, oh, wait a second. Okay, no, that's part. I thought for a second we had some frictions welded in there. Yeah, it's part of the machining. So you can see typical spinny, slippy. And as that wore, it got to the point that it was wearing the carrier down. So we broke Roadblock in a lot of different ways. Failure of the limited slip, which we knew was kind of coming, but we snapped the axle I considered good. I found some questionable suspension parts still after replacing a bunch, after a Tundra identified as a Jersey barrier sideswiped Roadblock when a friend was driving it. Roadblock's had a very problematic rear end, and maybe we'll fix it all. Now we know it broke. We sheared an axle shaft in 2 pieces. I mean, somehow those balls are all still good. I mean, that to me is kind of impressive. But again, to Roadblock's, you know, credit, he never makes less than 600 foot-pounds of torque. So when you're that spicy, you kind of do stuff like this. But now this part, we're on pause until I can get my parts. I realized we tore apart this rear end, but I didn't really explain what all of our parts are meant to do in the rear end. And there's no better time to show how a rear end works when you've got your rear end blown all apart. So if you've ever heard of a ring and pinion gear, its job is to change direction of your rotational movement. So your transmission is inputting in this line. That's your pinion gear. You want to drive axles 90 degrees to that. So that then transmits power to your ring gear or your crown gear if you're from other countries. I guess maybe because it looks like a crown. But that is the purpose of these 2 gears. Translate as well as torque multiplication. So torque multiplication, you hear gear ratio. And you'll hear a number like a 473, a 292, a 262, a 373. All of these different numbers, that is the relation of the number of times your pinion gear has to turn in order for the ring gear to make a full revolution. And you do that by counting teeth. If you're really lucky, they'll be stamped. But you would count your number of teeth here, your number of teeth here, divide this number of teeth by that number of teeth, and that gives you your ratio. The bigger the number, so if some big trucks are in the 7s, 8, 9 to 1 correlation, you have a tremendous amount of multiplication. Your speed's gonna be lower in most of those situations because all of your speed and RPM is going into turning that pinion gear, but you're going to have a tremendous amount of torque going out to the wheels because the beauty of torque multiplication. But you've got to turn those wheels. So that is mounted to your carrier. Now granted, our carrier is now all blown apart. This is what your axles will snap into. So this is part of your spider gears. One axle stub goes there, the other one goes there. So that way, as that turns, you now get rotation out to your axles. The reason it's called a differential is to allow differential speed, left and right wheels to turn at different speeds. And this is something you've experienced if you've ever done a Lincoln locker or driven on a spool. Lincoln locker meaning you've welded that differential, you've made it solid. Both rear tires don't turn at a differential rate. When you're making tight turns, that inside wheel will start skipping because the arc that it has to travel is shorter, but you're trying to turn it at the same rate as that outside speed. Coffee cup on the table, you roll that, your styrofoam, and you see how it makes arcing angles. So that's the differential. So to allow that, you have spider gears that allow everything to turn like magic inside. But we have a limited slip. What does that mean? That means during low power circumstances, it will allow this wheels to turn at a differential rate. And that is generally controlled by these bad boys. It's not as obvious in this, but you'll have ramping angles. And you'll hear one-way, two-way differential. And you see how the ramps are slightly different. That means when you're off throttle, it's not going to be loading up to the side. And when you're on throttle, it ramps and loads these clutches, which will lock those spider gears by pressing. It presses against the case and holds those spider gears and won't let them turn at different speeds. So you get a nice big two-wheel smoky burnout. Or if you're drifting, you're spinning both tires at the same rate. And we can go way into the weeds, really talking into depth more about this. One-way, one-and-a-half-way, two-way differentials. Most stock vehicles are going to be one-way or one-and-a-half-way, meaning you have a little bit of limited slip off power. But again, clutches are your consumables normally. This is what I expected us to find and replace. I did not expect to see the case just absolutely cooked. Like this is a very special kind of failure, one that only Roadblock can do, but that means we're buying a whole new rear cradle somewhere. So we can get rear diff, we can get new axle, and we can get back into business. Now, we're getting ready to drop this thing out, and that gives me an opportunity to address something. I think the number one comment by far, when we first finished Project Roadblock as a ute, was, you're an idiot, now you can't change the rear shocks without taking it all apart. Despite in the video showing how to do it again. So we're gonna show, once again, how we're gonna change the rear shocks. That bolt and that bolt right there, it's incredibly easy. The bolts come from the bottom. So putting the Smith Ute conversion does not make changing your shocks any harder at all. And I'm also going to change these to the different style that aren't electronically adjustable, mostly because I don't have that functionality in the car. These are slightly blown. The other ones have 9,000 miles on them. And since I can't control or adjust it, why bother keeping the complex leaking ones with a lot more miles on? So, well, here's the bad part of exploding a CV axle. CV axle grease, your best friend. You can hit it with rags, but these cleaner rags, that'll make short-ish work and get us ready to slide in the new one. Got the new shocks floating. Waiting for a rear end. These springs are the absolute worst part of it. I've always had the best luck having them in the place and kind of just setting the whole cradle up. Sometimes you'll undo your control arm. This will make more sense when there's a visual aid, but undo the control arm from the cradle and then fish the spring up. We'll see what the car gives us, what Roadblock is willing to cooperate with as we go up. Also, you kind of see the pads where everything was riding. What's interesting is you can tell it got moved over there, and some of the arms are a little bit funny looking, from gently being sideswiped by a Toyota Tundra. A Toyota Tundra is also a name for a jersey barrier, for when you lose control and slam into a concrete wall. So, turns out sometimes when you loan a friend a car, they're not the most honest when a boo-boo happens, when all we had to do was get it fixed. So, boo-boos happen, Axles explode and grease goes everywhere. Notice how there's a whole lot of parts not on it. Turns out this thing got wrecked really bad. I guess there's a reason it was really cheap. I saved some money, but we're gonna be spending some money. I need this thing back together. So we're having to overnight some parts. I'm taking a road trip where we're gonna get to do something really cool. And just like my other rear arms that were hit and run by a Tundra, that thing is bent. You can see how cattywampus they both are. And we're gonna go inside in just 1 second. I'm gonna show you my lower control arms. I should have looked before putting it up. This would have been really easy to change out of the car, but it's in. And the drive shaft's in, and I don't want to pull it all out again. Sometimes I wonder about this car, you know? You try to do nice things and they don't love you, but we're gonna go ahead, get these arms off, and when my overnight shipment shows up, I'm gonna show you the really cool thing we've got to replace that. There's a lot more I should upgrade, but I don't want to spend that much money. I got other things to spend money on, like a Honda limo, built LS for the drag car, my Supra, a Cummins swapped Ram Charger. There's a lot more to go. Well, I think I'm in the right place for axle repair. Hey, John.
How you doing, man?
Do you think you can fix that?
Sure. All done.
Look at that. That was fast. Oh, God, I forgot how heavy those joints are.
Yeah, when it's all complete, right? It's all
I
complete.
think there's like 20 pounds right there, so.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I'm going to tell them about the actual process now, too, because as much as movie magic is fun and entertaining, you do a little bit more than just that, don't
There's
you?
a lot more of that. A lot more than that going on here. Yeah. Yeah.
A lot more.
It's not just boots and grease. No. No, and we don't use 2 rolls of paper towels and a case of brake clean, because that does not work. For all those out there, it does
You're
not
not doing Craigslist rebuilds, you're doing actual rebuilds?
actual rebuilds. When there's wear, it's repaired. Yeah.
While it may not always be that fast, the guys at CV Source really do know CV axles with 39 years of experience. John and Louie are my go-to because with Hellcats, you're told to just buy a whole new axle when they can reboot and rebuild them for a fraction of the cost. Now, this isn't a paid endorsement. I paid to have my axle rebuilt there. They are my absolute go-to because when someone tells you you have to buy a new axle for $2,500, they can rebuild yours for a fraction of that cost. You may wonder, why am I getting ready to put gear oil in when the axle's still out? That's because even though I've got the fancy flex fill bags, which would make filling this really easy, technically the axle hole is higher than the level set hole. So rather than even worrying about flex fill, I'm just gonna cord it straight in the open hole and then fill it that way. Then we'll pop that axle in and be all set. So that's the idea, at least. I also think my next idea is going to be to hurry up and get front suspension built for that Ferrari truck. Because one, I'd love my friend Travis to have his truck back, and two, I'd kind of love to have my lift back. We'll just come around here. Oh, you know what? That did not work at all like I had hoped. So, it's a good thing I have flex fill bags Oh my goodness. Well, don't do what I did. It didn't work out at all. Not even the tiniest bit. You know, sometimes my brilliance amazes me. And then sometimes my stupidity does not. I'm gonna clean my hands and then let's put the axle in the hole. Dang it. Then we'll finish putting grease in. Ow. Nope, okay. We gotta go in the joint first. Come on, give me it back, please. Nope, okay. Ow. There we go. In here first, because it's slightly longer. For everything out of the way, get this bad boy up. Well, these things are, you need 12 arms. Got to protect the magnet. There we go. There. No more holy boot. Coming soon. We're going to be building custom control arms on a Toyota 1UZ swap. Get back to that project, because again, I want my lift back. I want Travis to have his truck. I need to build front control arms, build an exhaust, a couple small wiring things. It's like done. All of our bolt-on parts have proven to not be a single bolt-on part. This technically calls for a 75/90. We're doing a 75/140. If you wonder why, it's very widely accepted as better when you exceed the stock power for these Hellcats. And the rear diffs keeps them a lot happier. And if you couldn't tell from earlier in the video when we took apart my other diff, it wasn't happy. And I ran the 75/90 in it. Yeah, nothing wrong with it. It's just once you get to really chooching along, you have some problems. All right, while we're playing with this section of the diff, I'm gonna go grab one more part, bring it out here real quick and get it installed. But so Dwayne doesn't have to edit 30 minutes of dead space while I gather tools. We're gonna just snap the fingers and I'll be back with the new ones. That wasn't a good snap. Diff brace. So this is something I probably should have had all along. In the grand scheme of diff braces, this is about as cheap as you can get. The point of this, as you're launching, even though this has 4 mounts, some diffs only have 3, there's play in these bushings. You can change these out to solid, but when you do that, you get a whole lot of road noise. This, you end up getting just a little bit of noise generally transferred in. The goal of this is to keep the diff from porpoising under load. When these things, especially if you get wheel hop, they start to rattle and chatter around, and as they do that, things break really quickly. So the way this is designed is you remove these case mount bolts. For this one, you reuse them. For heavier duty ones that are thicker here, they'll actually come with new case bolts. We're not eliminating enough. That will get this close, and then a rubber isolator, and then you slide in nuts and hardware to bolt to there. And the goal of all of this is to just give you a little bit more rigidity to keep the diff from chattering. Not necessarily what caused my failure, but I figured we'll do the kitchen sink method of fixing it and just throw everything at it. All right, well, we're back inside. That brace is bolted to the differential. Hopefully it's gonna keep that thing from rattling around. Again, it's not what broke. We broke the axle on some machining lines in an impressive way, but we're trying to make everything better. And in the interest of making things better, we're upgrading tow rods. Not necessarily because there's a problem with my old ones. They were bent. One of them was from the Tundra, and my new tow rods are bent. Kind of like the control arms. Excuse my super messy table, but you see how, I don't know, how's she doing that? Yeah. Same with those. These tow rods were bent in the same way. You could look, you can almost see in the memory of that bushing. They're not good. So let's go with gooder. These are some BMR upgraded tow rods, Delrin bushing on that side, solid link on this side, and they're adjustable. So this would adjust initially with an eccentric. I'll show you that when we're under the car. You remove that, install lockouts so that it no longer can move in that section. And then you have these really nice turnbuckles to adjust so you can get your toe adjusted a whole lot better. Namely, they're not bent. It was only about $70 more to get these versus good high quality aftermarkets. So you do need to preset these. I'm gonna measure both and just see approximate hole length to preset my rod length here. It may not be right because again, these have some tweaks in them, but you measure what you got, and once it's on the alignment rack, we'll tweak it from there. So, new arms, new lower control arms, and then we can get that bolted back up into the chassis with springs, put our brakes on it, and keep fixing stuff. It turns out when you're done with a project, you're not even close to done. There's a lot more to go. One side perk, I guess, is kind of getting to almost nap under the car. I don't know why I put these bolts back in either. So I've seen people just beat the crap out of their car right there to slide this bolt out. You can loosen the cradle to its a very extreme limit, and it will drop low enough that you can snake your eccentric bolt out. So that's what I mean by eccentric. If you see it's offset, so when you turn this, you can kind of sort of see the slot there. It'll slide that arm in or out, and that adjusts your toe. Instead, we install these lockouts so it can't move. One big reason you do that is under a lot of power, even if you pinch really tight, you can actually spin your eccentric and make it move. Not that. I know that goes down. It definitely, no, okay, so that's right. Grease nipple goes down. These came up 16 and 7/8 on both sides pretty reliably, so. Because of the offset nature, it doesn't clear, but gonna come this way. I don't understand a reason why we can't do that. One of my neighbors is doing a lot of painting right now. Just nip it. Get those slipped in there. Yay, making things better. Now, and technically, you can hammer this as down as tight as you want because it's connected to a time joint. Any type of bushing, you need it at ride height before you torque it down, or else you're gonna have a bad time. Aftermarket arms you can crank down too, it'll still move, but I'm gonna wait until it's at full ride height to really get her tight. So you can see how much that still pivots and moves. That's how you know it's safe. Also, we're going to keep the cradle loose when we go to set our springs. It's going to make getting the control arm in a lot easier. Because these are a tight, stinking fit. It's annoying. Oh, that's right, because it has a collapsible bushing. I need to get a hammer and a brass punch to push back. Duh. Ah, no more leaking boots. Hopefully no more bent arms, as far as I can tell. We found the extent of them. Alright, well, I'm going to show you the one thing I'm going to have to tap in. And then I'm going to get those tools and then run a little bit of a time lapse. So if we look in here, actually, the sun's really bright there. So if we come over here, this is where your control arm slides. And right there, you can see the metal sleeve inside the aluminum right there. So that pinches in and you can't slide your new one in. So with it out, come through with a brass or soft metal punch, tap that back so that way your new arm will slide right in there, and then you're good to go. Also, you can kind of see how we're sitting just a little bit of an angle. Really not a problem with that. When we do fully lock it down, there we go, kind of blocking the sun. When we do get that fully locked down, we will make sure it's centered up and down, but that won't mind on us. Again, just aesthetically, I'd like it straight for no real particular reason. Just in my head, it looks better. So, get some tools, we'll come back out, keep on going. All right, control arm, tow rods, all installed. One thing I need to figure out is that cradle definitely feels like it wants to sit over more. This is something that once it's on an alignment rack, we might need to loosen and shift the cradle a little bit. One thing's several people noticed, my wife noticed, my friend Steve, anytime someone follows the Charger, they noticed it crab walks ever since the Tundra incident, even though it had a few new suspension arms. So I'm hoping the whole rear of the car isn't bent. When Michael and I went through, it seemed like it was just the inner fender structure and not the frame rails, but we've got good arms throughout it, and once we're on with the lasers, we'll be able to figure out if we can get things tweaked, riding a little bit better. But for now, we've got to get some load on all of the suspension parts, torque all of our bolts. Then we're going to put our new brakes on, and then we got to get that exhaust. There we go. We got to get that exhaust back in there, and then we're on to the front suspension good bits. Not much to do. Also, that aluminum drive shaft has been doing amazing. When I had it off, U-joints perfect, front and rear. Everything about that works really good. Turns out if you go to the right people and spend a lot of money, you're gonna get a good product. Oh, also, yeah. There you go. Rear diff brace installed. Everything torqued up there. So, rear diff braced up. Now we just got to get it all the little bits together. And we're back to Hellcat things, which are the best. Makes listen, whatever Dodge did with their factory Hellcat blower, it's hard to beat that sound. It's just a lot of fun. So for now, I'm gonna clean up. That's getting lower, incredibly bright. We'll be back at it in the morning. Good night, guys.
Good morning, by the way. Actually, it's afternoon by now. If you saw, I went ahead and got all of our suspension tightened up, torqued up, ready to go. And we're doing new brake rotors and brake pads. Why? Well, originally the cradle I was buying had brakes on it. Guy ended up not including the brakes, but refunded some money back for it. And mine were just wore out, and it's kind of that. It's a part. Well, let's do it. You know how those jobs are supposed to be quick, easy, and cheap, and they quickly become anything but that. Some of you may complain about the direction of the brake slots. On the Hellcats, the factory rotors, they only go one direction. So one side faces backwards, the other side faces forwards. And depending on your opinion and school of thought, it's up to you to decide which one's backwards. But the rotor vanes, the actual cooling vanes themselves, are a straight through design. They're not curved in any way, so it is not a directional rotor. Yes, inside a little bit, it kills me how the rotors have the mismatched vanes on them, but that's how it comes. That's what it is. Another thing I'm super excited about is I should have a parking brake again. I haven't had one since one tuning session where when it was left, because Roadblock has got all the weird swap stuff. The parking brake on doesn't work normally, and it ran through a full day of tuning with the parking brake on, and between burning up the brake shoes and the rotor drum surface, parking brake drum surface, I haven't had a parking brake for a while. Which, for a manual car, that's cool. You don't need one that bad. Only almost entirely, but that's one of those, the car is unique. It's got a lot of interesting Chrysler going on. Another thing that absolutely always remember with brake calipers, I've seen it multiple times, your nipples for your brake bleeders. Brake bleeder nipples, they go up. If you mount this the other way, you can bleed it, but you're still gonna have air trapped up in here, never get a good brake pedal. And I get it, a lot of you guys are in your head going, well, yeah, duh. But I've seen it enough that there's some people still learning about cars that might make that mistake. And if all we ever do is insult people for asking to try to learn, no one learns, and we just keep getting dumber and dumber. Feel free to ask questions. So one of my favorite phrases, the only stupid question is the one never asked. Do this one more time, find someone to help bleed, put exhaust on, and then front suspension. Buddy Justin came up and was helping me get these brakes bled. I was so excited to be done. And then I had my face really close again and noticed I missed another thing. Sometimes I'm really good at making my life difficult. I've already got the nut off, but if you look, remember how we pointed out before how cattywampus that bushing is? Well, let's take a little road trip. See how nice and straight that bushing is. That arm's bent. Good news is, I've got a good arm. That's the easy part. That would have been really easy with the axle out and the spring not in it. But you know what? That's okay. We've got parts. I just now have to lay in brake fluid, change this thing out. That wouldn't be a Roadblock episode and project if we just didn't keep running into dumb problems, right? Who wants it to go smooth and easy? That's boring. Well, that wasn't too bad, and yeah, that's as tight as it can go. And it bent just a little bit. The bushing's actually torn, so Marketplace
usually can work out pretty good, but sometimes somebody slips a few things in there as not necessarily quite what they represented it as. So good news is, between spending a lot more money and other broken parts, we've got enough to get this thing back together. So let me get this back in there, and then finally I can do the front suspension. All right, so we're doing inner and outer tie rods. I was trying to set it up to where you could see it. It's kind of hard. It's more of a hearing thing. When we get it off, I'll really be able to show our inner tie rods are shot. And right now, the way it's manifesting is going down the road, you get a really bad vibration in the steering wheel. When we had the 11-inch wide tires in the front, it actually kind of absorbed it and hid it from you. But now that I got normal tires, it's a little spicy going down the road. So we are gonna get these boots off, pop just the inners loose, and then I'll pull the wheels here in a minute and do all of that fun. I also need to check and see if we can eliminate those spacers. The spacers were required 100% for the Demon wheels, the skinnies, and I did need it to push the 11-inch wides out. But in theory, our correct sized wheels shouldn't need that. So also, you guys that do the handling side of your Hellcat driving, bet you're jealous. That is a hydraulic rack. The electric Hellcat racks aren't the best. They're very dead feeling, numb feeling. Hydraulic is the way to go, and seeing as how this was a cop chassis, had the hydraulic setup, so it was just a matter of go ahead and get the hydraulic set up. Assembly of the rack and pinion. Man, you guys, I'm sorry. You're enjoying the hum of the battery charger because, surprise, surprise, the battery was dead. It's taken that long since blowing this thing up to source everything down. It's funny, it's no effort to turn it with the plier, but just outside of doable by hand. There we go. Huh. Do these have factory scrubbers that are broken? Limit spacers. That's what those look like. That stuff's pretty loose and floppy. Not surprised she's giving me trouble. Well, I'm gonna pop that other one off, and then I'm gonna show you exactly what I was talking about, and then we're going to go over how to get your new ones ready to install. So you got yourself your tie rod. Oh, and you're getting ready to set it up. Up to something new. We've got our new inner and outer set up here. How do you do it without just having a nightmare of a problem? So, real simple trick. I love taking them out in full units. I've already loosened the jam nut. Put you a little marker line. And now you count. So if you take it, 1, 2, so you count your rotations, 3, 9, 10, 12, 13, 15, 16, 17. So that was about 18 and a quarter. I always like to do it down so that way it will drop. You do end up needing to slide the nut off. Only reason we're taking this nut off, because a good tie rod kit is going to come with new lock hardware. It's to save our boot and get our boot pulled off. Come on, pop up. This all started from just doing a fun little burnout, and here we are couple $1,000 later. That one's a little bit better. That's your inner joint. See if this one. It's so hard without all of the weight of stuff to show the wigglies and the looseness. If you're not going factory, if you can, Moog Problem Solver, Dorman Heavy Duty, basically any of the upgraded styles are really nice. Wait, boot the clamp first. But you want to do your upgrades so these factory outboards aren't greasable. So Dorman, you get a greasable unit. Now, again, number one to remember about this, you're still gonna need an alignment. Doesn't matter how good you count. So we were going for a quarter, so we get it set. So there's our quarter. So up is 1, and we're going for 18, so. Ready? 12 o'clock, there we go. Spin that down. Make sure you put your grease joint back on it. And when you install it, grease it. Remember, way too often I've seen brand new joints not get greased. So let me go put those on, and then we'll get back to work on this car. She's, it's been a fighter, but we fight harder. It's wet today, as you can tell, so I just kind of went ahead and took the spacers off and put the wheels on. As much as I kind of love that bulldog look with the really wide front stance, properly fitted wheels, they kind of look pretty good too. So, as you can tell, Roadblock's running on the ground where I broke it quite literally several weeks ago. You can see the tiny little skid mark right there as the axle snapped. Oh, I'm excited to get this thing back on the road. It's a lot of fun to drive, but I need an alignment. We've had pretty much every part of the suspension apart, which definitely requires one, and this rain is the beginning of the great 2026 ice storm, so nobody is willing to do an alignment, which kind of means I'm stuck and done with Roadblock for right now until whatever happens after the ice storm. But it's back again, only to be broken. Now I do have a question for you guys. Do you want to see more Roadblock build, or do you want to see them race? Or are you guys tired of the almost 1,000 horsepower ute? Maybe I can arrange a track day and we invite our friend Ed and his spicy red Volkswagen out there. See which one's faster. A questionably built Charger ute that's been wrecked many times, or some of the finest automotive engineering that's ever existed. That doesn't give me good chances saying it like that, but we are pretty much done. One thing I do want to do, I just want to roll it forward, because as you could tell when we went through that rear differential that was on there, it didn't roll anymore because that diff was so broken. Even though it was a limited slip and should have been able to move, he's been dead in this spot for a while. So let's just try to roll forward and back. Oh, the parking brake works again too. The simple things in life. The very simple things in life. So, first gear. Oh, look, we're moving. I mean, granted, it's just forward and back. Oh, no immediate terrifying noises. Oh, I think the car is fixed again. Now we just need that alignment, like I said, and then we're done. I've got power seats to replace the old cop car seats. You guys want to see me do that? Or again, spicy Volkswagen race? Tell me in the comments. let me know what you guys want to see. And Aaron, yes, I know you're going to say the satellite. Don't worry. As soon as I'm done being hurt, we've got a lot. We got a limo, drag car, Cummins swapped Ram Charger, the wedding suit. Listen, there's no shortage of junk for me to get going on, so I need to quit breaking it. But that's it. I'm Jared, reminding you guys to always make questionable choices. And remember, ice is a little bit different than snow. Give your southern friends a little bit of credit and realize that it doesn't matter what type of car you've got. You're not going to drive safe on ice. See you next time.